Hey everybody, I just want to give you a quick overview of how to go about Chapter 1 and point out some of the more important aspects of this chapter. So there are 6 learning objectives. You want to have a response to each learning objective, so get a notebook, and I would suggest physically writing down the learning objectives, and that way you'll know what it is you're preparing for before you even go looking for the material. So this one's pretty simple. It's pretty rote. You're just going to look at the various different Native American nations that lived during pre-contact, pre-Columbus time, 1492, and just identify them where they geographically are located on a map. So that's about as rote as you get with these learning objectives. The others are going to require you to write anywhere from a solid paragraph to up to 3 to 4 paragraphs apiece, usually 2 paragraphs. And again, a paragraph is 5 to 6 sentences, usually, generally speaking. So here you're going to take a look at the material. You can go through this video if you like. There's also a nice interview of the author who wrote the book, 1491. And then you are going to go through the text and just respond to this as thoroughly as you can. Identify how historians' understanding has changed of Native Americans living in the Americas before 1492, and that'll become apparent as you go through the material. You'll get a lot of the information right here from this interview, and then you could, if you'd like, just skim through a lot of this text here to get perhaps some more examples. Let's see, Learning Objective 3. Let's go through Learning Objective 3. First, you want to define the age of expansion, and then you want to explain how, why, and when it developed. Okay, so in this one, let me bring this up here. So the definition is pretty easy. That's the definition. Okay, and always include the dates. A lot of students, for some reason, like to throw the dates out. Dates are very important. Not the most significant thing in history, but they're important because they give you frames of reference about what happened and when it happened. And then if you understand when it happened, then you could begin to understand what's probably one of the more important things when we're studying history, is how things change over time. Right? That's basically fundamental of what we're studying within history. And then you want to make a develop an understanding of how this happened. And what we're dealing with here is the effects the Crusades and the Black Death had on medieval Europe, right? So before the 15th, 14th century Europe, before the Renaissance. So you're going to look at the Crusades, and essentially what the Crusades are going to do is that it is going to introduce Europeans to the trade markets that existed in what we consider today the Middle East, or what they would call back then the Orient. That's basically the unintended consequences of the Crusades. Trade relations are going to develop. It is going to begin a very slow process of beginning to undermine the Holy Roman Catholic Church. And that's basically happening between 1095 and 1291, these series of crusades that are developing this new class of people, the self-assured business class within Western European communities. This is giving them a thirst for more trade, and they're trying to figure out over the centuries what is the most efficient way to get over there. The Black Death, which is going to begin in 1347 and last till 1350, is going to further undermine the feudal system that had developed, where you had lords protecting serfs and serfs providing for lords, and then all of these different fiefdoms loosely connected to the Catholic Church under the papacy rule. The Black Death is going to undermine that process and make way for, again, this new class of people and a need to consolidate these various feudal systems into a more centralized power. And during this time, that more centralized power is monarchical rule in nation states. So we'll be seeing the rise of Portugal, we'll be seeing the rise of France, later England, then the Netherlands, Spain, so on and so forth. So keep that in mind. when looking at that and understanding the effects. Um, and real quick, the why is dealing with when the kings consolidated their power, creating the nation states that I just spoke of, and the when is when they were actually able, these nation states actually able to begin colonizing, creating their empires once they had these nation states developed. So please do go through the information. Always, always, always provide examples. Try not just to generalize. If you're finding yourself writing about the Europeans, well, what Europeans are you writing about? If you find yourself writing about Native Americans, well, what Native Americans are you writing about? So do keep that in mind. Let's see, anything else here? Okay. Here again, this is pretty straightforward. Going through the material, learning about the objective during the age of expansion, and again, give detailed examples. Try not to go so quickly in this. The more specific you are and the more detailed and the more you elaborate, obviously you're doing it in a way that will be quite successful as a student. And then here, you're going to look at the major reasons why England colonized, and then you're going to give key differences of colonies in New England, the middle colonies, and the southern colonies, and then provide a specific example of each of those colonies from the northern, middle, and southern colonies. That should get you through Chapter 1. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll talk with you later. Bye.